confirmation that Labour has U-turned on one of its defining policy commitments to spend £28 billion a year on green projects. It follows weeks of uncertainty over the promise. I'm joined now by Labour donor Dale Vince, who's also founder and CEO of energy firm Ecotricity. Mr Vince, are you sad that Labour's bowed to Tory pressure, really, on this?
I wonder if it is Tory pressure. To a degree, it may be media pressure, perhaps. But I wonder if it's not more economic pressure. If you look at the state of the economy, you look at what's happened since Labour first made the pledge in 21, a lot has changed. We had the 1 month of Liz Truss that blew a 30 billion black hole in the economy. The Tories themselves have cancelled HS2 to save about £100 billion.
Right,
and I think Labour don't really...
So you back Labour's argument, really, that they had no choice to do this, and you'll carry on backing Labour financially, will you?
Well, I will carry on backing them. I think the most important thing for us as a nation now is to have a Labour government. I think they will still be the greenest government we've ever had. If you look at the Conservatives, that's not actually a high bar. The last 14 years have been a disaster. And we're now investing in fossil fuels, which is economic and moral madness, according to the United Nations. And I agree with them. So the Tories are taking us in the wrong direction entirely. And this news today says that Labour won't be spending as much money as they pledged a couple of years ago, the 28 billion. It'll be a lot less, about a sixth in total, because I've just been reading the numbers. And yet, you know, I'm disappointed. But I think we have to be realistic. The state of the economy is quite dire.
Can we meet the net zero targets, though, with this, you know, very much less ambitious pledge?
I believe that we can, because they're maintaining their ambition to have the Great British Energy Company and to fund that from day one. And in any event, the wind and the sun that we have in abundance in our country is sufficient to make all of the electricity we need about 20 times over. We don't need public money for it. We just have to change planning regulations and maybe some grid regulations. We can do that in 5 years. We can get to 100% green electricity.
If the price of oil and gas goes down, the windfall tax, which they're partly using to fund this new pledge, that might go out of the window. So, I mean, are you worried that they might further scale this back? And what would it mean if they did?
I think the problem with the windfall tax is the 95% allowance that oil and gas companies get if they invest in new fossil fuel development. I think that's a scandal. They shouldn't be investing in it, and we certainly shouldn't be subsidizing their investment in the development of fossil fuels. That worries me more than the prospect of fossil fuel prices dropping.
I mean, it sounds like you're keeping the faith with Labour, but really on the day that, you know, we found that global temperature breached 1.5 degrees Celsius across an entire year, is there a bit of you that fears that there's no political party at the moment that really has the appetite to deal with kind of climate Armageddon?
Well, look, the Conservatives have allowed the opening of a new coal mine and the drilling of oil and gas in the North Sea at a recently unprecedented rate. They're rowing backwards on all of their net zero commitments and pulling us in exactly the wrong direction. Compared to that, even with this reduced pledge by Labour today, Labour are head and shoulders a better government for the country. They will pursue the green economy. Many of the opportunities in the green economy need no public money. But there's one other thing to say. The notion that borrowing to invest is just foolish. Good businesses and good economies do that all of the time. And I think Labour need to make that case to the people of our country that borrowing to invest in projects that pay for themselves and make a profit and strengthen our economy is a good thing to do. That's fiscally responsible.
You talked about pressure from the media, but there's also pressure from voters, isn't there? We're in the middle of a cost of living crisis, unprecedented economic turmoil. And a lot of people say they needed these, you know, taxes on boilers. Well, that's a Tory pledge that's gone out the window, but they can't afford it. And do you buy that argument?
Well, look, there is a cost. Blimey, nobody could dispute the cost of living crisis. Surely, millions of our people can't afford to feed themselves. They rely on food banks. It's a scandal. The roofs of our schools are falling in. The investment in public services is at a record low. Waiting lists in the NHS are at a record high.
So green investment has to wait for another day.
No, I was going to say the way to solve this is to grow the economy, grow the tax base and have money for public services. And the green economy is a massive opportunity.
Well, exactly. And that was one of the key planks of this pledge that they've now watered down.
No, I understand and I accept that. But so many of the opportunities of the green economy don't need public money. Like, for example, getting to energy independence as a nation. Right. Currently, we spend...
Dale Vince, I'm sorry we're out of time, but thank you very much for joining us.